Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome back to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast. Now, while we are taking a break from First Stage Friday and the Lay of Lathian to go back to Fandom Friday this series, we are nearing the end of our time with Aldarion and Erendis this series. So let's get going with Week 52's Second Age Saturday. We're going to pick up where we left off at the end of Week 51 after Aldarion spoke contemptuously to his father, King Meneldur, just as his father was considering a very, very important decision. Thus far, Meneldur had sat in patience with downcast eyes and made no sign. But now he sighed and looked up. "Aldarion, my son," he said sadly, "the king would say that you also show cold insolence and contempt of your kin, and yourself condemn others unheard. But your father, who loves you and grieves for you, will remit that. The fault is not mine only, that I have not ere now understood your purposes. But as for what you have suffered, of which, alas, too many now speak, I am guiltless. Erendis I have loved, and since our hearts lean the same way, I have thought that she had much to endure that was hard. Your purposes are now become clear to me, though if you are in mood to hear aught but praise, I would say that at first your own pleasure also led you. And it may be that things would have been otherwise if you had spoken more openly long ago." "The king may have some grievance in this," cried Aldarion now more hotly, "but not the one you speak of. To her at least I spoke long and often, to cold ears uncomprehending. As well might a truant boy talk of tree climbing to a nurse, anxious only about the tearing of clothes and the due time of meals. I love her, or I should care less. The past I will keep in my heart, the future is dead. She does not love me, or aught else. She loves herself, with Númenor as a setting, and myself as a tame hound, to drowse by the hearth until she has a mind to walk in her own fields. But since hounds now seem too gross, she will have Ancalame to pipe in a cage. But enough of this. Have I the king's leave to depart, or has he some command?" "The king," answered Tar Meneldur, "has thought much about these matters in what seem the long days since last you were in Armenelos. He has read the letter of Gil-galad, which is earnest and grave in tone. Alas, to his prayer and your wishes, the king of Númenor must say nay. He cannot do otherwise, according to his understanding of the perils of either course, to prepare for war or not to prepare." Aldarion shrugged his shoulders and took a step as if to go. But Meneldur held up his hand commanding attention and continued, "Nevertheless, the king, though he has now ruled the land of Númenor for 142 years, has no certainty that his understanding of the matter is sufficient for a just decision in matters of such high import and peril." He paused, and taking up a parchment written in his own hand, he read from it in a clear voice. "Therefore, first in honor of his well-beloved son, and second, for the better direction of the realm in courses which his son more clearly understands, the king has resolved that he will forthwith resign the scepter to his son, who shall now become Tar Aldarion, the king." "This," said Meneldur, "when it is proclaimed, will make known to all my thought concerning this present pass. It will raise you above scorn, and it will set free your powers so that other losses may seem more easy to endure. The letter of Gil-galad, when you are king, you shall answer as seems fit to the holder of the scepter." Aldarion stood still for a moment in amaze. He had braced himself to face the king's anger, which willfully he had endeavored to kindle. Now he stood confounded. Then, as one swept from his feet by a sudden wind from a quarter unexpected, he fell to his knees before his father. But after a moment, he raised his bowed head and laughed. So he always did when he heard of any deed of great generosity, for it gladdened his heart. "Father," he said, "ask the king to forget my insolence to him, for he is a great king, and his humility sets him far above my pride. I am conquered. I submit myself wholly. That such a king should resign the scepter while in vigor and wisdom is not to be thought. Yet so it is resolved, said Meneldur. The council shall be summoned forthwith. Man, the hurt in Aldarion's voice as he relays his version of that final encounter with Arendis to his father, cold ears uncomprehending, and the almost shocking admission, I love her or I should care less. The case can be made that he didn't know how to love her very well, but he isn't uncaring. And in fact, this seems to be a stark reminder of the fact that hatred isn't the opposite of love. Indifference is. And it feels as though Arendis has reached that point, much to Aldarion's pain. His understanding of Arendis seems a bit of a caricature, the idea that she loves herself only and saw Aldarion only as one might see a pet dog, something to rest by the fire until it's time to take a walk. But at the same time, it's easy to see how he's reached this conclusion. Once again, to quote Cool Hand Luke, what we have here is failure to communicate. But now, aside from this personal conflict, the king has to make a decision. And his decision is that he doesn't want to make a decision. Sort of reminds me of the song Free Will by Rush. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. And Meneldur's choice is to punt the ball directly to his son, much to Aldarion's surprise. For now, though, that does it for this week's Second Age Saturday. Thank you for joining me, and be sure to come back next week as the council considers Meneldur's decision and Arendis gets word of the news. Please visit patreon.com/TolkienTimes to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, join my content council, and get a bonus episode every week. And please, if you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe. On your podcast apps, follow or subscribe. And everybody please follow at Tolkien Times on social media. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.